You are not lazy, you are not broken, and you are certainly not lacking some secret ingredient that everyone else seems to have. The real reason you cannot seem to get moving, the real reason your motivation feels like a ghost you can never quite catch, has nothing to do with willpower at all. Your brain is drowning, and the water it is drowning in is invisible. Every single day, from the moment you open your eyes to the second you finally close them, your mind is being flooded. Notifications, headlines, messages, videos, opinions, updates, a never-ending river of input that your ancestors could never have imagined. And here is the thing no one tells you. Your brain was not built for this. It was designed for a quieter world, a slower world, a world where stillness was the default, not something you had to fight to find. So when you sit down to do something meaningful, something that requires focus, patience, and depth, your mind rebels. It feels uncomfortable. It feels boring. It feels almost painful. And you assume this means something is wrong with you. But nothing is wrong with you. You are simply overstimulated, and that changes everything. Think about it this way. Imagine you have been standing next to a waterfall for years. The roar of it becomes normal. You forget what silence sounds like. Then one day someone asks you to listen to a gentle stream. You cannot hear it. It is too quiet. It registers as nothing. This is what has happened to your motivation. The quiet whisper of genuine drive, the soft pull toward meaningful work, has been drowned out by the constant noise. Your brain has adjusted its baseline. And now anything below that baseline feels like emptiness. This is not a character flaw. This is biology responding to an environment it was never meant to handle. Your brain has a reward system, a chemical messenger called dopamine that is supposed to guide you toward things that matter: food, connection, achievement, learning. But this system evolved in a world of scarcity, not abundance. It evolved to make you seek, to make you curious, to make you move toward rewards that were rare and hard to find. Now, those rewards are everywhere. They are in your pocket. They are on your screen. They are available every second of every day, and they require no effort at all. A funny video, a like on your post, a new message, a piece of gossip, a shocking headline. Each one delivers a tiny hit of that chemical reward, and your brain, doing exactly what it was designed to do, keeps seeking more. The problem is that these rewards are empty. They feel good in the moment, but they leave nothing behind. No growth, no progress, no lasting satisfaction. And because they are so easy to get, your brain starts to expect that level of stimulation all the time. The bar gets raised, the baseline shifts upward, and suddenly, normal life feels unbearably dull. This is why you can scroll for hours, but cannot read a book for 10 minutes. This is why you can watch endless videos, but cannot sit with your own thoughts. This is why the idea of working on something important feels like pushing a boulder uphill. Your brain has been trained to expect fireworks, and now anything less feels like a waste of time. The tragedy is not that you lack ambition or drive. The tragedy is that your natural curiosity and passion have been buried under so much noise that you can no longer feel them. They are still there. You just cannot reach them through all the static. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine waking up tomorrow and everything is different. No phone on your nightstand. No immediate rush to check what happened while you slept. Instead, there is just quiet. Morning light coming through the window. The sound of your own breathing. For most people, this sounds peaceful in theory, but in practice, it would feel deeply uncomfortable. There would be an itch, an urge, a pull towards something, anything to fill the silence, This is what overstimulation has done. It has made stillness feel like a threat instead of a gift. Consider a composite example based on patterns researchers have observed. Imagine someone who used to love painting. As a child, they could spend entire afternoons lost in colors and shapes, time disappearing as they created. There was no need for external reward. The act itself was enough. But over the years, screens entered their life. Social media, streaming, games. The quick hits of pleasure became constant companions. And slowly, without even noticing, painting stopped being enjoyable. It felt too slow, too quiet, too boring. They assumed they had simply grown out of it, that the passion had naturally faded. But the passion was still there. It was just buried under layers of noise. The brain had learned to crave a different kind of fuel, and the gentle satisfaction of creating could no longer compete. What once felt like joy now felt like effort. What once absorbed their attention now could not hold it for 5 minutes. This is happening to countless people right now. Hobbies abandoned. Dreams deferred. Creative impulses silenced. Relationships neglected because real connection takes patience that an overstimulated brain cannot muster. Not because people do not care anymore, but because their brains have been rewired to reject anything that does not deliver instant reward. The motivation is there. It is simply being blocked by a system that has learned to speak a different language. Here is something important to understand about how your brain works. It is constantly making predictions about what will feel good and what will feel bad. Every choice you make, whether conscious or not, is filtered through this prediction system. And the predictions are based on past experience. If checking your phone has delivered quick pleasure 1,000 times, your brain predicts it will feel good again. If working on a difficult project has felt boring and frustrating, your brain predicts it will feel that way again. But these predictions are not truth. They are just patterns, and patterns can be changed. The brain that learned to crave constant stimulation can learn something different. It just needs the right conditions. It needs a chance to remember what it already knows. That slow rewards are often the most meaningful. That effort can be deeply satisfying. That boredom is not the enemy. There is a battle happening inside your head every single day, and you might not even know it. On one side is a part of your brain that thinks about the future. It makes plans. It sets goals. It understands that some things worth having require patience and effort. This is the part that wants you to write the book, learn the skill, build the business, become the person you know you could be. On the other side is a much older part of your brain. It does not care about the future. It only cares about right now. It wants pleasure immediately. It wants to avoid discomfort at all costs. This is the part that kept your ancestors alive by seeking food and avoiding predators. It is powerful. It is fast. It is always on alert. And in a world filled with instant gratification, this ancient part of your brain is winning. It is winning because the modern world has given it exactly what it was designed to chase, without any of the effort it used to require. Every time you reach for your phone instead of working on your project, this is that older brain taking control. Every time you choose the easy distraction over the hard task, that is the tug of war tipping in one direction. And the more often it tips that way, the stronger that pattern becomes. The path of least resistance gets worn deeper and deeper until it feels like the only path available. But here is what most people miss. This is not about discipline. It is not about forcing yourself to resist. You cannot simply white-knuckle your way out of overstimulation. The problem is not that you need more willpower. The problem is that your environment has hijacked your natural systems. And the solution is not to fight harder. The solution is to change the environment. Think about a fish in polluted water. The fish does not need more determination to be healthy. The fish needs cleaner water. Your mind works the same way. It does not need more pressure or more guilt or more self-criticism. It needs a cleaner environment, less noise, less pollution, less constant demand for attention. The fish cannot thrive by trying harder. Neither can you. The change has to come from outside in, by changing what surrounds you before you can change what happens within you. There is something profound that happens when you remove yourself from the noise, even briefly. Your thoughts begin to slow down. The mental static starts to clear, and in that clearing, you start to hear things you had forgotten were there. Whispers of old dreams, sparks of curiosity about things that actually matter to you. The quiet voice of your own wants and needs, which had been drowned out for so long. Think about what happens when you spend time in nature. Real nature. No phone, no screens, no constant input. At first, it feels strange, maybe even uncomfortable. Your mind keeps looking for something to grab onto, some new piece of information to process. But if you stay there long enough, something shifts. The nervous energy starts to fade. The mental chatter quiets down, and slowly, you begin to notice things you had been missing. The sound of birds, the movement of leaves, the feeling of air on your skin, the subtle changes in light as clouds pass overhead. Your baseline starts to reset. Your brain begins to remember a different way of being. A way of being that feels more like home than the constant buzz ever did. This is what your brain is craving without knowing how to ask for it. Stillness, simplicity, a return to the natural rhythm it was designed for. Not the artificial rhythm of constant consumption, but the organic pulse of being fully present in a single moment. This is not a luxury, it is a need, and ignoring it has consequences that show up as fatigue, anxiety, restlessness, and yes, the feeling of being unmotivated. Now, there is a concept that has become popular in recent years. Some call it a dopamine detox. Others call it digital minimalism. Still others simply call it unplugging. The words do not matter. What matters is the principle underneath. When you step away from the constant flood of stimulation, your brain begins to recalibrate. The baseline starts to drop. And as it drops, ordinary things start to feel interesting again. A cup of coffee in the morning becomes a small pleasure instead of something to rush through while checking emails. A walk around the block becomes an adventure instead of a waste of time. A conversation with a friend becomes deeply engaging instead of something to endure while waiting to look at your phone. Work starts to feel possible again. Motivation, real motivation, starts to return. And here is the part that surprises most people. It does not take as long as you might think. The brain is hungry for this reset. It wants to feel normal again. It just needs you to give it the chance. This is not about punishing yourself. It is not about becoming a monk or swearing off technology forever. It is simply about giving your brain the space it needs to remember what it already knows. That quiet activities can be deeply satisfying. That effort can be its own reward. That boredom is not the enemy. It is actually the doorway to creativity, insight, and genuine engagement with life. Consider what happens to a garden that has been neglected. Weeds take over. They grow fast and spread quickly, choking out the plants that need more time and care. But if you clear the weeds and give the garden attention, the flowers start to grow again. They were there all along, seeds waiting in the soil. They just needed room to grow. Your mind works the same way. The constant stimulation is like weeds, fast-growing and aggressive. But underneath, the seeds of your real interests, your real passions, your real motivation are still there. They just need room to breathe. They need light that has been blocked by all the noise crowding in from every direction. The path forward is not complicated, but it does require intention. It means creating pockets of stillness in your day, not dramatic retreats or total lifestyle overhauls, just small windows of quiet where your brain can rest. It means noticing when you reach for distraction and asking yourself what you are really avoiding. Usually, it is discomfort of some kind, boredom, uncertainty, the difficulty of a task, the fear of not being good enough. And it means being willing to sit with that discomfort instead of running from it. When you sit with discomfort instead of escaping it, something remarkable happens. The discomfort passes. It always does. And on the other side of it, you find a kind of peace you did not know was available. A groundedness, a sense of being okay without any external input telling you so. This is your natural state. This is who you were before the noise. It means being patient with yourself as your brain adjusts to a new way of being. Because it will adjust. It always does. The human brain is remarkably adaptable. It learned to crave constant input, and it can learn to appreciate quiet again. But this takes time. It takes consistency. And it takes a willingness to feel uncomfortable in the short term for the sake of something better in the long term. Start small. 1 hour without your phone. 1 morning without checking the news. 1 evening spent doing something that does not involve a screen. Notice how it feels. Notice the discomfort. Notice the urge to reach for something to fill the space. And then notice what happens when you sit with it instead of acting on it. That discomfort is not a sign that something is wrong. It is a sign that your brain is recalibrating. It is the feeling of the baseline lowering, of the noise fading, of your natural state returning. You might be surprised by what emerges in that quiet space. Ideas you had forgotten. Questions you had stopped asking. A curiosity about the world that had been buried under layers of consumption. This is not something you have to create or manufacture. It is something that naturally arises when you clear the obstacles blocking it. Like water flowing to fill a hole, your natural interests and drives will flow into any space you create for them. You do not have to force anything. You just have to allow it. There is a kind of motivation that cannot be manufactured. It is not the motivation that comes from hype or pressure or fear of failure. It is not the motivation that comes from someone yelling at you to try harder or be better. It is the motivation that bubbles up naturally when your mind is clear. It is the pull toward meaningful work that arises when there is space for it to arise. This is the motivation you have been searching for, and it has been there all along. You just could not hear it over the noise. Think about the last time you felt truly engaged in something. Not entertained, not distracted, but genuinely engaged. Time probably disappeared. You were not thinking about checking your phone or wondering what was happening online. You were simply present, absorbed in the moment. You forgot yourself in the best possible way. This state is available to you anytime, but it requires protecting your attention. It requires treating your focus like the precious resource it is, because attention is currency. And right now, yours is being spent on things that give nothing back. Every scroll, every click, every notification is a withdrawal from an account that needs deposits to stay full. The world will not do this for you. Every app, every platform, every piece of content is designed to capture and hold your attention. That is the business model. Your distraction is someone else's profit. Billions of dollars are spent every year figuring out how to make you scroll one more time, click one more link, watch one more video. So if you want to reclaim your motivation, you have to swim against the current, not with anger or frustration, but with gentle, persistent intention. Not by fighting the noise, but by choosing the quiet, again and again and again. Every time you choose depth over distraction, you strengthen that muscle. Every time you sit with boredom instead of escaping it, you reclaim a piece of yourself. This is not about judgment. You are not weak for struggling with overstimulation. Everyone is struggling with it. The entire modern world is struggling with it. We are all fish swimming in the same polluted water, wondering why we feel tired all the time. But awareness is the first step toward change. Now that you understand what is happening, now that you see the invisible water your brain has been swimming in, you have a choice. You can keep doing what you have been doing, or you can start making space for something different. The unmotivated feeling you have been carrying is not evidence that you are flawed. It is evidence that you are human, living in a world that has outpaced human design. Your brain is not broken. It is overwhelmed. It is doing its best to cope with an environment that did not exist until very recently in human history. An overwhelm has a cure. The cure is not doing more. The cure is doing less. Less consumption, less input, less noise, more space, more silence, more room for your own thoughts to breathe. More trust that what emerges from that space will be worth the temporary discomfort of getting there. Motivation is not something you chase. It is something that emerges when conditions are right. Like a plant needs sunlight and water, your motivation needs stillness and depth. You cannot force a flower to bloom by yelling at it. You cannot make it grow faster by adding more fertilizer than it can handle. You cannot rush the natural process of growth. You create the conditions, and nature does the rest. The same is true for your mind. Create the conditions of calm, and motivation will find you. It always does. There is a version of you that is not constantly tired, constantly scattered, constantly wondering why you cannot seem to get started. That version is not some future self you have to become through heroic effort. That version is who you already are, underneath the noise. All you have to do is clear the static. All you have to do is turn down the volume on the world and turn up the volume on yourself. All you have to do is remember that stillness is not emptiness. It is fullness of a different kind. So the next time you feel that familiar heaviness, that sense that you should be doing something but cannot seem to move, that weight that sits on your chest and tells you something is wrong, remember this. You are not unmotivated. You are overstimulated. And the solution is not to push harder. It is to step back, to quiet the noise, to let your brain remember what it already knows, to give yourself permission to be still in a world that profits from your constant motion. Depth requires stillness. Focus requires space. Motivation requires a mind that is not constantly being pulled in 1,000 directions. These are not luxuries reserved for monks on mountaintops. They are necessities for anyone who wants to live a meaningful life. And in a world that profits from your distraction, protecting them is a radical act of self-care. It is also the kindest thing you can do for yourself. You have everything you need: the drive, the dreams, the capacity for deep and meaningful work. It is all there waiting for you to create the conditions for it to flourish, not through force, not through guilt, not through endless self-improvement schemes that only add more noise to the pile, but through the simple, powerful choice to step away from the noise and listen to what your own mind is trying to tell you. Your potential has never left you. It has simply been waiting for you to get quiet enough to hear its call. The waterfall has been roaring for so long that you forgot there was ever silence. But silence is still there. Stillness is still there. And so is the motivation you have been searching for. It has been there all along, patient and persistent, waiting for you to come home. It never gave up on you, even when you gave up on yourself. All you have to do is stop, breathe, and listen. The quiet is calling you back to yourself, and it will wait as long as it takes for you to answer.